Good evening. I'm going to call to order the Plan Commission study session for November 18th. Craig, if I can get roll call, please.
Mr. Burleson?
Here.
Ms. Cardona?
Here.
Mr. Gill?
Here.
Ms. Woland?
Here.
Mr. Gillette?
Here.
Ms. Little?
Here.
Mr. Kennedy?
Here.
And Craig Phillips, town manager, is present. Paul Panzik?
Here.
Brian Blazak? Maybe we lost Brian.
Here.
Oh, he's there. Okay. Adam Decker?
Here.
And Ken Kraus.
Here.
Very good. Next on the agenda, 3A, the preserves at Rosewood Estates. Petitioner will be seeking primary plat, two-lot subdivision located on the north side of Alvina Rose Court. This will be a public hearing at the December 2nd board meeting.
Good evening, Jack Slager with Schilling Development, representing the Preserve SJ, the developer of Preserve at Rosewood Estates. As you may recall, we advertised for the November Plan Commission meeting, and there was a glitch in the advertising. One neighbor got missed. So we went back, we re-advertised everything for the December 2nd meeting. We double, triple checked it, so we didn't miss anybody this time. But so we do plan to be here at the December 2nd. All the advertisements have already gone out. We replaced the sign on the property. And so it's basically the two lots from the old Casboni property that front into the Rosewood Estates. One of them is 1.5 acres and one's like 1.8 acres. I did notice at the last meeting where we were going to hold a public hearing that there were two of the neighbors were in attendance. And since that meeting, I have talked to one of the neighbors that was here and kind of resolved some of their questions. So, but if there's any other questions regarding the site, I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, we'll be back in 2 weeks to hold a public hearing.
Questions from the board? Jack, I'll ask, can I ask what the issues from the neighbors were?
So I talked to Mr. Ken DeVries, who lives in the last lot on the left, backs up to White Oak Avenue, and
Lot number 25,
5?
okay.
You can go on
25?
Facebook and watch the meeting on there.
yeah, so you'll see his property comes to a point
You want to close the door?
along Alvina Rose Court, and basically almost comes in front of our property. So we discussed that. Basically, we are going to buy that little triangle off of him that's in front of our property, and I'm going to plant a tree to give him some additional screening, and he was happy. So we reached that agreement, and that allows us to bring the sidewalk through.
You can use it.
I'm sorry,
Go
Jack.
ahead.
Go ahead and go
Some-
and use it.
I'm sorry, who's ever online, if someone could mute, we're getting some feedback. Thank you. All right, so.
No problem. So that gives us the ability to bring the sidewalk through that little outlot that's alongside Lot 1 and tie it in with the sidewalks that'll be in Rosewood. So that was his only concern, and he's satisfied at this point.
Okay. And then the second question, I believe if I read Ken's letter correctly last meeting, you're looking for a sidewalk waiver?
Well, we didn't really discuss sidewalks. Lot 2 has existing sidewalk in front of it, the lot to the east. Lot 1, we do intend to continue the sidewalk as far as we can, and there is an engineering drawing that shows the proposed sidewalk. But when Lot 1 is built on, the sidewalk that's in Rosewood will be continued along Lot 1 until it reaches the intersection of Rosewood Court, and then it will dive out to that intersection. It can't go any further because the bridge is there and the grade drops off like 5 feet behind the curb. So we will bring sidewalk along Lot 1 about 300 feet, and then it dies back out. So about 100 feet of sidewalk will be missing from the front of Lot 1.
Yeah, I was just, my concern was at least connectivity to a driveway or to or some sort of front
Yep.
walkway that would lead to the door of that house. So,
I think this drawing
Okay,
shows the
yeah, there's a
sidewalk.
good drawing. See the existing sidewalk on Lot 2, same thing, it has to jump out to the street at some point because of the grade. And so on Lot 1, we'll be bringing that sidewalk all the way to the intersection and then diving it back to Elvina Rose,
To the west side of Rosewood Court,
to the east side.
east side. So
Yep.
you'll cross Rosewood Court and then bring it.
Yep.
Okay. Very good.
Did you say there's gonna be a path here?
Yes, that's the intention, is to bring that sidewalk right where it joins in now and bring it north through that. Again, connectivity like you guys have been talking about. We'd like, ultimately, we'd like Rosewood to have access to the bike path in Preserve along White Oak.
I'm
And
sorry.
They really don't have that now.
Councilman, I didn't hear your question or your comment. I'm sorry.
So I had asked if the sidewalk was going to come up throughout Lot A from that 90 degree, and that's exactly what's going to happen. So it'll go north throughout Lot A and connect to the preserves
East.
east, is it called? Yes.
Yeah, for now, that's what it's called, yeah.
Yeah. So then folks from Rosewood will be able to go up that sidewalk into Preserves East, cross over White Oak at the crosswalk, at the intersection, I
Yep.
believe, and then connect to the bike path.
Yep.
Great.
Very good.
Any more questions? Anyone online have any questions for Jack? Then we will have a public hearing on December 2nd.
Okay.
All right, thank you, sir. Next on the agenda, 3B, Greystone Unit 3, continued discussion regarding petitioner's request to rezone 40 acres from open space to R3 PUD. Or I should just say PUD.
Oh, look at Jack.
Oh, see? Look
Wow.
at that.
Look at Jack. He's good.
I don't know how they'll be able to see those online. Good evening, Jack Slager again with Schilling Development, representing CWS Holdings, the developer of Greystone. We've been discussing Greystone over the last few months and Phase 3, and this will be now we are proposing a single-family development. Craig has the drawing up there. This will be, we're requesting 80-foot by 140-foot lots, and so at this point, we need a favorable recommendation to the town council for rezoning from open space to PUD. We're going to follow, with the PUD, we are going to follow the R2 zoning ordinance other than lot width and lot square footage. Other than that, we are going to follow all of the R2 requirements, which would include things like minimum square footage, minimum side yard, minimum rear yard, minimum front yard. All of the other requirements of the R2 we will follow. So we're just looking for a little leeway on the lot width and the lot overall size. Since the last meeting, we've come back and we've tweaked the drawing a little bit. We've added a little bit more creativity in the bike path that is following the pipelines. And we have designated a spot in the middle of the, what we're calling the park. It's a linear park that follows the pipeline easements. And we've designated a spot there for a piece of playground equipment. We'll make sure that's flat and designated, open, and it's a 60 by 60 area that could handle some nice piece of playground equipment that we'll work with the Parks Department on. In addition, we are showing a path along Calumet Avenue from north to south on the west side of Calumet, and that will bring us to the north end of the school property, the Protestant High School there on the west side of Calumet. Other than that, we've got the future road stub to the west, and basically one of the things that we've talked about since the last, or at the last meeting, was raising the level of architectural requirements on these homes as kind of a trade-off for the 80-foot lot. So we've raised the architectural standards. We've gone with no vinyl siding, which was a recommendation from the town. Again, the larger building sizes to meet the R2. We did talk last time about we proposed requiring a 3-car attached garage. Seemed that wasn't overly well received. We've come back now and said we can do 3-car attached garage encouraged, but not required. That way, they're not all garages on all the lots. You'll have some 2-car garages interspersed. We were asked to come back and bring some color renderings of potential homes. So I brought a couple here. I don't know if they can see them online, if I can put them somewhere else that they could see them online, but we've got a ranch, a story and a half, a 2-story and a ranch. Just trying to show some of the architectural detail that we're requiring: vertical siding, horizontal siding, shake siding, gable decorations, decorative garage doors with glass, higher quality windows, things like that. So we're gonna use all of the architectural requirements that we use in some of our other subdivisions. Higher landscaping requirements, irrigation required on all the lots, parkway trees, additional trees. So yeah, that's basically a recap of what we've been talking about. Again, we'll be back in 2 weeks at the December 2nd meeting, and we'll be asking for a favorable recommendation to the town council for a rezone.
Camera over here, it'll show up.
That camera?
that
Okay. So they may be able to see what we've got here.
See the 2, not the one that's angled down.
Okay.
So that camera?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jack, question for you. I think it's Bob, and I don't want to speak for you, Bob. Concern was the distance between structure and lot line. So is that rendering an 8-foot side yard to the fence?
Yeah, so
Okay.
the max, like, we've got one of these has a 3-car garage. I think the ranch has a 3-car garage. Might be 64 with a 3-car garage. 64 on an 80-foot lot gives you your 8-foot side yard. But when you have a 2-car garage, you usually end up with 12 to 15 feet of side yard. And sometimes they'll even do this one has like a 2-car with a half, almost like an addition onto the garage for storage where it's not a full 3-car, so.
Gotcha. And minimum length of these, so 80-foot wide, 140 is the,
That's the minimum depth. Yeah, a lot of them are more than that, but we did get you a plat that is dimensioned, and I know it's probably hard to read after it's shrunk down, but it does have dimensions on all the lots. It has square footages on all the lots. Again, the smallest is going to be, do you guys are you looking at an 8.5 by 11 or 11 by, because I've got 11 by 17.
I'm blowing it up on the screen too, so it's a little bit easier to read.
Here, I'll throw a mask on and then I'll pass these out. I brought a little bigger one.
Thank you. Oh, no, this is really good.
So that's got lot dimensions and square footages on each lot. So, again, the minimum's 80 by 140. A lot of them are bigger than that. The minimum square footage is 11,200. That would be, again, the smallest, and they go up to 21,000 square feet is the largest. The pie-shaped lots are bigger. We've also put on there in red lines kind of a phasing of phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, dividing this thing up into thirds. But the park and the path would be part of phase 1.
and Jack, your team is providing the written ordinance for the PUD to
Correct.
Craig?
Yeah.
And that written ordinance would have all the standards
yeah.
you're gonna have in there?
Yeah.
I know what you've said, it sounds great. If we can get a written document of what
Yep.
you're proposing
I've
with the
spoken with
irrigation.
him and explained to him that he needs to give us a development plan.
Okay.
Basically, he takes this drawing and creates it into what's called a development plan.
Yep.
And then there are specifications in the ordinance as to what that needs to include. And then the written narrative, basically, that explains the deviations and what the remaining underlying standards will be
Yeah.
beyond
Great.
that.
So that the layout criteria is in the upper right of this drawing, calling out the minimum lot 80 foot wide, minimum lot size 11,200, front yard setbacks are the floating building line, the side yard setbacks 8 foot minimum, rear yard setbacks. We're able to keep the 40 foot rear yard setback, which is pretty large rear yard setback, but we made sure all the buildings would fit on these lots with a 40-foot rear yard, so we are going to keep that rather than ask for a variance on that.
I'm trying to scan over so you can,
But I'd also like to see the architectural standards you're setting and all the other nice
Yeah.
amenities that you're proposing with the irrigation and the
Yeah,
landscaping.
yeah,
so.
and that's part of our restrictive covenant, so we'll make that part of the package of the PUD package.
Great, thank you. Craig, am I missing anything that needs to be included?
no, just those, I think those elements.
Okay.
Jack, is that, those yellow dots along the north side, is that trees or something?
Those are trees. I asked them to be green, and they ended
Okay.
up yellow, but I wanted to put a little buffer between the backs of the houses and the playground.
Sure.
Obviously, the playground can move anywhere we want it to. I put it in the largest open area of the park, and then, I figured we'd shield it a little bit. This also gives us some room to do some hills and berms between the homes and the bike path, so we can do a little bit of creativity in there.
Any additional questions for Jack from the board? John? All right.
Jack, is the lot along Calumet, is that already platted as part of the previous Greystone?
Yes, where the criteria is, that corner, yes.
Okay.
That is a small professional office lot there right at the intersection.
Okay.
And that paved path that's shown, the extension north along the west side of Black Opal Lane, that connects to the existing.
We'll take it all the way
correct?
across that
Yeah.
empty lot up to the intersection where
Okay.
we've got the crosswalk, yes.
And then it'll connect into the rest of Greystone that way.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
I like the addition of the path, appreciated. And Donna, do you see we got a little place for a playground there? I don't know if she could hear me.
I did some math on the,
See that, I appreciate that.
I did some math on the park impact fee, which is like $1,800 per permit times 102 permits, and it's, almost $200,000 in park impact fee permits, that permit money that'll come in just from this piece of the development, not including all the others. So hopefully, some of that could be spent on a decent piece of playground equipment there.
Yeah. Hopefully the park board can see to do that.
Yeah, I think it's a
Yep.
good addition.
Very good. Anyone else? All right, Jack, we will see you on,
Mr. Kennedy, do you mind adjusting the agenda so that we can handle item D, since Jack's standing up here?
does anyone have any issue with that? I do not. All right.
No.
Item D, discuss the update on the preserves Phase 5 and bike path extension.
All right,
So,
let me-
thank you. Thanks for moving me up there. I appreciate that. The preserve has been around for a while and maybe longer than some of the plan commission members have been on board. So I wanted to kind of recap and bring you up to speed as to where we're at and what we're doing, because I know some of you guys get questions on some of this stuff, and we're just kind of moving along out there all the time. And so I thought I'd bring you up to speed. You know what? I'm gonna pass out a bigger map for you because I see you're working with small maps again. So I want you to be able to see what I'm talking about.
Well, they've got it on screen too.
There we go. Yeah,
Got a
I love the
high
paper.
quality
It's,
printer,
laminate, too.
Jack.
Quality here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
look at this.
this is quality. We need to upgrade.
So, just as a little bit of a recap on the preserve, the project began in 2015. Our first phase of lots was developed in 2016, and at that time, we anticipated it was an 8 to 10-year project. So we've developed 4 phases over the last 5 years. We just completed Phase 4, which is kind of in the northwest corner and of the south half. And we've started moving dirt on Phase 5, which if you've been by there, you've seen some activity. So I wanted to talk about what we're doing there and some of the changes that we've made. This was all approved as a PUD back in 2016, and had a master plan, and we've been following that plan. As you will recall, it is a mix of 80, 90, and 100-foot wide by 150-foot deep lots. One of the things, and one of the main reasons why I wanted to bring this in front of you tonight, just again to bring you up to speed, and I don't think any of this is going to require a vote or a public hearing, but as we develop Phase 5, you can see it's outlined in blue there, and that will give us our second entrance. We are going to work our way up to 93rd and attach into the entrance on 93rd that was improved earlier this year when the town repaved 93rd. Along with that, we are going to extend the bike path from its existing end all the way up White Oak to the intersection of White Oak and 93rd, and then along 93rd to the new intersection at Monix. Originally, when this was started 5 years ago, that bike path was essentially a glorified sidewalk along White Oak. We were required by the town to put a sidewalk along White Oak, and so that's how that path came to be, and it was going to be just a straight, flat sidewalk, essentially running in the right-of-way of White Oak Avenue. Since that time, we've really come to find out that the bike path has become a strong amenity for both the development and the town in general. And so we've gone back and without modifying the layout of the lots or the street, we've shortened the length of some of the lots that back up to White Oak. Because of the curvature of the street, those lots ranged in depth anywhere from 160 to 200 feet. They were deeper lots to allow some buffer along White Oak. We went back and pulled those lot lines in so that they're all 150 feet and in depth. And what that allowed us to do was get creative with the bike path. We went back and hired the landscape architect that did the entrance to the Continental, and we asked them to design a bike path with landscaping and berms. And so now the new design allows for larger hills, more landscaping, and a little bit of creativity in the bike path, some ups and downs and ins and outs. And so that's what you'll see being constructed out there now. And all of the lots are still at least 80 by 150, but instead of having extra rear yard, that will be an outlot that will be owned and maintained by the Preserve Homeowners Association. We do plan to irrigate the entire berm along the bike path, heavily landscape it with trees. And so we're excited about what that's going to look like. So I wanted to bring that up because it's a little bit of a change from the original plan. The other thing that we're looking at in relation to bike paths, and you can see where the park is located or the park land is located. It hasn't made it into any of the phases yet, but it's still designated as the spot there kind of in the center of the development. We are exploring the possibility of running the east-west section of bike path all the way to the park. And if you've been in Preserve, you know that the bike path currently runs east-west and ends at Fescue. And so what we'd like to do is continue that along, yep, right where that cursor is. We'd like to continue that west and in between a couple of banks of lots and get it straight to the park, where the park does show a section of bike path through the park. What that will require us to do is create basically a 20-foot gap in between a couple of lots. The bike path is about 10 feet wide, but we'd like to have 15 to 20 feet in between some lots so we can kind of wiggle it through there. And the majority of those lots in there are 100-footers. So we'll take like the first 4 lots and make them 95 and give us a 20-foot path and get that path all the way to the park. We've talked to some of the residents. They're excited about it. The one lady that lives right next door, I asked her ahead of time, I said, if you're opposed to this, we're not going to do it because you already live there. I'm going to put a bike path next to your house. And she said, I've got 3 small kids. And if there's an easier way for them to get to the park than going through the subdivision, I'm all for it. So, so that's something that we are exploring. Hopefully we can make that happen. And in the meantime, we're going to work on Phase 5 over the winter so that come spring we can put roads in and have a second entrance. I think that's basically it. Unless anybody's got any questions, that's where we're headed. And I also just wanted to give you kind of a overall picture of the original preserve, in addition to Preserve East, Preserve West, and how they all kind of fit together.
The lots you said, along White Oak, they went from what depth to what depth?
They were originally like 160 to 210 deep. We just brought them all the way back to the right-of-way, so now we've just taken them all to 150, and you can see how that
Okay,
it gets narrower and widened. So anywhere from 20 to 50 feet of additional land in order for us to get some larger berms and curvature to the path.
is the dark green west of Phase 5, is that the, kind of the tree area?
Yes.
Jack, going from White Oak west on 93rd, so you'll take the bike path or bike trail to Tall Grass Trail, which
Yes.
on the north side of 93rd is Monix Drive. Is Monix Drive just to the north of there?
Yes, yes.
So then you also have a line west of Tall Grass that goes and looks
Looks like it
south
goes
of
to
the
Shelton.
white and then carries on and then goes due north up to 93rd. Is there an intersection
Yeah, that's Shilton Drive right there.
that will be Shilton
Yeah.
Drive?
So that was our intention, was to get to Shilton Drive. We will actually, while we're doing this phase in the spring, when we're paving this path, we've already talked about taking it to that little white box, which is the lift station there. We'll probably take it to there and get that part finished, even though it doesn't really get you anywhere. But that way we'll be able to landscape and finish all along 93rd there. And then once we get to the lift station, we have to kind of figure out what the route is going to be to get us to Shilton Drive. But that's the ultimate goal, is to get there and potentially have a nice crosswalk there.
Big white box on the north side? What is that? I'm trying to think what's.
Somebody owns that, a
Oh, okay.
lot there.
Okay, I didn't.
Yes,
Here?
that's a privately owned 2-acre lot. Yeah.
Okay.
And it happens to not be in town as well, so it's something we've been really taking a hard look at.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's not
I
in
go down that
town.
way all.
It's underwater real estate too.
What's that?
I said it's underwater real estate.
Yeah, it's unbuildable.
Yeah.
It's floodplain, wetlands.
Oh,
it's-
okay, no,
it's
I'm
all
just,
kinds of stuff.
it was just unique to see how I knew where the lift station was, I knew that spot, so, okay.
So, long-term planning, just for the Plan Commission, Craig worked on the Pathways application recently with NERC. And this, the segment that would connect where this ends and continue west to Bramblewood was talked about. Not quite ready to get that on an application. It didn't qualify for a few reasons, but we would eventually like to see this path continued along 93rd through that white box or around it.
Yep.
And around that corner and into the Bramblewood sidewalk at the very least. So that's, just keep that on your,
And there's another home that's not in town. That's
Yes.
an individual home just past the preserve at Shilton Hills.
Yeah.
correct. So there's a few obstacles, but it seems like a logical connection and a doable connection, so
And it's
we
not
just have
that
to figure it
far,
out. Yeah.
honestly. It's less than 1,000 feet of missing piece.
Mm-hmm.
This section that we're now adding to White Oak is a half a mile. We'll have another half a mile horizontally along 93rd, and we've already constructed a half a mile along White Oak going south. So right there, we've got 1.5 miles of bike path, and it's pretty nice.
And I don't know whose responsibility this is, Jack, but I mean, as we make these points at 93rd, I don't know if it's a town's responsibility, make sure we have the proper hashings if people go north and
Yeah.
south on 93rd,
Absolutely.
especially to Shilton Hills and Monix Drive, because you're gonna get a lot of people on the north end trying to get south on that bike trail, so.
Already planning it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I guess my wife saw the signs up, she got excited, she'll be riding her bike to work next summer.
Nice. Very, very good.
Jack, the park, have you guys thought about trying to put it in where the woods are at?
Well,
located?
actually, it is, and that's,
Oh, it is?
that's
Okay.
part of this. I don't know why it doesn't show up green that way, but that section is where the original homestead was. It was one of the nicest pieces of land out there, where the barn and the house was. We just recently got done taking all of that out, so the barn and the house are finally gone.
So that, the park is where that's at?
Yeah, and there's some beautiful oak trees there, and that's really why we selected that spot. So we're hoping to be able to save as many of those as we can there.
Okay.
That's where that long driveway was,
Yep.
east-west through there.
Yep.
Okay, I didn't think the house was in the woods.
No, it's right on the edge.
Right on the edge.
The house was, the house actually sat right here on 262 and 263, and the woods is all up in here.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't think we have to have any vote. I just want to bring you up to speed on what we're doing. At some point, we'll come back in the spring for a final plat for Phase 5. The lots won't be the exact dimensions that the primary plat was from 5 years ago, but we're not adding any lots, we're not taking away any lots. We're moving some lot lines around, and typically, that's been a minor adjustment that we've done in the past, so. But I know if you get some questions about what's going on along White Oak, at least you'll be able to answer them.
Appreciate it. All right. Any questions, comment from the board? Anyone online? All right.
Thank you.
We'll see you in 2 weeks. Next on the agenda 3C, Crown Point Christian School is requesting site plan approval for an addition to the existing school facility to add classroom and meeting room space. Sorry, Jack, didn't give you enough time.
I'm Jim Jabay, representing Crown Point Christian School. And yes, we are, I don't know if you'll be able to see that very well yet.
Which map do you want me to have up? Oops, not that one.
You said your name was Jim?
Jim Jabay.
Jim,
Yes.
thank you for your patience as we moved the agenda item,
Perfectly
so we
fine.
appreciate your patience.
No problem, no big deal. Thank you.
That one?
Oh, that's a little bit better. So essentially, there's two parts of our addition, both of which will be inside of the setbacks for the subdivision. One of those is at the northeast corner of the property. So that would be off to the top in the left-hand side there. That's 3 classrooms.
Let me see if I can
So is that,
rotate.
that's west, correct? Is that the west?
No, it'd be the northeast. So that,
I'm rotating it, so it's,
Okay.
yeah, that might be.
or, well, an attempt to. Oh, why won't it? Is that it? There it is.
Top of the page is
Correct.
north.
Okay, so that's, top of the page is north now. So that northeast corner, so top right, would be 3 classrooms, which would fit within our setbacks. And then below that is the larger section that we're proposing to build. That would house about a 22,000 square foot general purpose meeting room, which would be used for chapels and different presentations and so on, along with approximately 6 classrooms. There might only be used as 4. There might be 1 or 2 that are used for special things like choir, and the music department and so on might take up 2 classrooms, which would leave less classrooms then. So it'd be somewhere between 4 and 6 classrooms. There's enough room for 6 classrooms. We just aren't sure how we're going to divide that up, what we need to do that within that space. So really, it's just those 2 sections that we need to fit into the school. Schools have grown a lot over the past years, and we need more space for our students.
So Jim, apologize, be patient with me. So the 3 additional classrooms are on the northeast side of the building, so they'd be right along Park Place, correct?
Correct.
And then the 22,600 square feet would be on the due east side.
Correct.
In front of Park Place.
Parallel to Park Place as well.
Okay. And this is currently in a PUD, correct?
Correct, so it requires site plan approval,
Okay.
which they would intend to, I believe, submit for the December 2nd meeting, based
Correct.
on the feedback from this meeting.
Yes.
In the conversation that Mr. Jabay and I had. In addition, the biggest concern obviously is whether or not there's adequate parking, and there is plenty of parking for the proposed addition.
Because you would just, I mean, park, well, if there's an event, I see, okay, see what you're saying.
Well, the parking standards
Yes.
need to be met based on the number of employees. So, did that calculation, and it's more than adequate based on that.
Okay. Questions, comments from the board?
No.
Material, I would say, would be the same existing to what you currently have for the facility. Not that it I mean,
The what would be?
the material, the building
Yes,
material.
oh, yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll all fit. It'll be done the same way.
Does this affect your drainage on your site?
We just had a site plan done by DBG,
Okay,
but I haven't seen it yet, but they were pretty certain that it wouldn't affect the drainage at all.
okay.
The
So we'll
place
make-
where, the space where you want to put the, what are you calling it? I'm not sure what,
General, yeah.
the general area.
Call it general purpose at
General
this point.
purpose area. That's basically just lawn right now, if I'm not
Correct.
mistaken, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll just, I mean, Ken will probably review all the drainage calculations and make sure we're not impacting any of your neighbors.
So is it the building between the two wings? Is that what,
Correct,
okay.
Yeah,
correct.
This area right here.
yes.
Yeah, as you're driving along Park Place.
So there's no option two. I see option one here. I just want to make sure we're looking at
It's
the
just
same
option
thing.
one,
Okay.
correct, yeah. Option two
That's
was
all I was sent.
holding over.
I was looking for
Yeah.
option two,
I was
going,
coming
okay, wait,
for
don't let us make, yeah, we're,
No, just option one,
okay.
all in one.
Any questions for Jim on the board? So the next item, I would imagine, we'd be at December 2nd. We make announcement that there will be a, do we have to go through a public?
There's no public hearing, it's just a approval of a site plan.
Okay.
Because it's part of a PUD.
Okay, very good. And Ken will review that and give us his, Ken, you'll review that and give us all your notes, correct?
Did we lose him?
I'm assuming he.
No, I had my mic muted. Sorry about that. Yes, I'll do the review on that, and I'll work with DVG on their drainage calculations, make sure everything is okay.
Great. Any questions for Jim? Thank you for your time, and again, we appreciate your patience and letting
Oh,
us.
no problem. Thank you, guys.
Have a great evening. Next on the agenda, we have from Altoff Homes, I'm going to lump items E and F together unless anyone has any issues. The performance bond release, Walden Clearing Phase 2 and Summerlin Estates Phase 1. Just for the board and for the public, I did receive a letter from Jeff Yatsko that I will read. Members of the Plan Commission, unfortunately, I am unable to attend tonight's meeting in person. We have 2 items on the agenda in which we seek to present at the Plan Commission meeting on December 2nd, 2020. These 2 items are the release of a performance bond for Walden Clearing Phase 2 and Summerlin Estates Phase 1. All the bond and improvements have been installed and the recorded drawings have been delivered to the town. Upon approval of the performance bond release, we will provide the standard 2-year maintenance guarantee for installed improvements. Thank you for your consideration. Jeff Yatsko, Land Development Project Manager for Altoff Homes. So that will be on our agenda to make a Adam, that's a recommendation to the town council, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Okay, and then Ken, you'll review, and then you will also provide us with a recommendation as well, or any concerns you might have before we make that recommendation, correct?
That's correct. I can tell you now that all the utilities, the water, the sewer, all passed their test. The proof rolling for the roads have passed. I have requested the Public Works to check to see if there's anything on a punch list that needs to be covered, and they're checking that out for both of those projects right now.
Thank you, sir. All right, any questions, discussion from the board regarding the release of bond for Summerlin Phase 1 and Walden Clearing Phase 2? Hearing none. Any discussion from the board? Councilman, anything? Craig, anything? Adam, Ken?
No.
Anything for our, all right. Everyone have a happy Thanksgiving. Be safe, and we will see you or hear from you on December 2nd.